So we can see on the screen here that we're looking at the pronunciation of the letters E and A. And these are quite tricky letters in English because there are a number of different ways to pronounce them. And as is common with English, there are also a number of exceptions as to how we pronounce them. So let's take a look at a few of the common pronunciations and where they tend to occur in English. So sometimes the E and the A say what we might describe as a short E sound. So if I were to just demonstrate that, I could show the fact that these words are often followed by a D. So if we have a word with E, A, and D, it's often the E and the A are pronounced E. So this happens in words such as head, dead, instead, dread, lead, red. So as you can hear there, it's an E sound. If you look at my mouth, my tongue is moving towards the lower part of my mouth and it makes the E sound. However, as is common with English, there are lots of exceptions to this. So, for example, lead, in this instance, when it's pronounced with this short S sound, is the word for a type of metal. So, for example, if I use that in a sentence, the ancient Romans made their water pipes from lead. Similarly, red, when pronounced with the short E sound, is actually the past or past tense of to read. So if I use that in a sentence, Theo read a book quietly in the living room. So it's something that's already happened. It's in the past or past, if you speak in received pronunciation. However, there are two other words in English, lead and read, which are spelt the same but pronounced differently and also have different meanings. Words that are spelt the same but pronounced differently and have different meanings, they're a special type of word which is known as a heteronym, but we don't necessarily need to remember that today. When lead is pronounced with that E sound, it means a cable, such as a charging cable for a phone. So if I use that in a sentence, I need the lead to charge my phone. Read is the present tense of to read. So if I use that in a sentence, my children and I like to read books together. So sometimes, as those last two examples have shown us, E and A in English can also say a longer E sound, or we might say they say the name of the letter. That might be how we would teach this if we were teaching young children to read, for example. So although we've just seen some exceptions to this, often words that where the E and the A make the E sound, they are words that end in L, for example. So we have meal, steal, real, deal, seal. Also, if the E and the A is followed by a ch sound. Now, as I show these, usually the ch sound in English is formed as I've written it there with the C and the H, but we will see two words where it's formed differently using a T and followed by URE, your, but it is still, when it's actually said, the sound is closer to a ch sound, and therefore the E and the A still makes the long E sound. So we have each, reach, teach, teacher, feature, creature. So here in the feature and creature, it is a slightly different sound, but it's much closer to a ch sound than a t sound, which is what a T usually says in English, as you know. So also notice the word teacher. So even though it isn't the end of the ch, isn't the last sound of the word, isn't the last syllable, there is the sound there as well. Still, the presence of the ch means that we say E and A as E. Also, although we've just seen some words where the T is pronounced closer to a ch sound, the E and A also says E quite often when it is followed by a T. So words that do this would be meat, and that is meat as in food. Feet, and as I've said there, notice that this feet, when it's spelled F-E-A-T, is a homophone with the word feet, and F-E-A-T means an impressive act of some description, rather than a part of the body. Also the word neat and seat and treat. Also, another place we can see E and A is where it's followed by a K, although this is a little bit less consistent. But there are a number of words that demonstrate this. So we have leak, peak, weak, speak, sneak, and creak. However, again, as is common in English, we do have exceptions to that. So sometimes where E and A is followed by a K, it is pronounced closer to an A sound. So break, steak. And this can include compound words that contain one of these words. For example, windbreak, break room. However, confusingly, it does not include the word breakfast, where, as I've just demonstrated there, it is more of a short sound. And that's one of the difficulties of English, that there are so many exceptions. But hopefully that has helped explain a little bit more about how to pronounce those two particular letters.